Hello, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. So, welcome to your practical application of astrology and my personal story share, where I talk about my life. So, if this is not what you are in for, then I already released my astrological forecast for next week, including the Scorpio New Moon, which we will be experiencing tomorrow. And also, there'll be my collaboration with my good friend, evolutionary astrology, Adrian Gibson from Just Gain Astrology, coming out tomorrow. So, stay tuned for that one. However, if you would like to hear about my little life, then this is the video where you're gonna hear that. So this week has been incredibly busy with all the transits that we have going on, and of course this is all the preparation for the new moon in Scorpio, as I mentioned, which is taking place tomorrow on Monday the 13th. But yeah, we started this week, which we are just ending now, with Venus trine to Pluto. Then we had the Mercury trine to Neptune, all these positive aspects, and of course Mercury sextile to Pluto. Then we had two planets changing signs, and that was Venus moving into the sign of Libra and Mercury moving into the sign of Sagittarius. And then yesterday on the 11/11 portal, we experienced this opposition between Mars and Uranus, which could be quite explosive and quite unexpected, and a lot of things might be coming up from our subconscious to conscious mind, because they want to be looked at and purged and healed and integrated, because we cannot take these emotions or these past experiences with us into the times that we are heading into, even though emotions are always good because emotions are messengers. But how long do we want to hold on or cling on to the emotions that are actually not serving us anymore? So with regards to my little life over here, so I've been in Mexico for just over a week now. I arrived a week ago Friday, so literally I've been here 9 days now. And as I mentioned in my previous video, I didn't quite understand or realize or didn't admit to myself just how depleted I was until I got here and had this opportunity to kind of just breathe again, and just to be able to take care of my schedule again, really, like not having to have to cater to everybody else's needs for once. And I know that makes me sound very selfish and egocentrical, but the bottom line, as I mentioned previously, is that we need what we need. And if we don't give ourselves what we need, we try to get it from our environment by manipulation, or we just become resentful, or like in my case, it could be even like, angry and frustrated and stuff like that. So anyway, so the past week it was quite nice to actually see myself decompressing and observing how much time I suddenly can cave out for myself, even though of course the ego wants to keep busy and is this inner critic and all these like, hey, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. But actually being able to just like turn the phone off or not look at the phone, like when I decide like, okay, now I'm just gonna have time to myself, or I'm gonna go out. So I purposely never buy SIM card when I go to a new location. I never buy SIM card because obviously all my work is online. So when I go outside, when I'm in certain whatever country, then I don't want to be reachable. I don't want to be able to be plugged in. Usually I listen to podcasts, which of course in some way I'm still plugged in, but I download things into my phone, whether it's on Spotify or whatever courses, and then I listen to that, which usually are things that are highly vibrational and things that I'm really interested in. And this is what I've been doing. So I've been trying to get out more and give myself more time to actually do the things that I didn't have time to do in the past month when I was surrounded by all these other people that I had to adjust myself to. And it's interesting that how I was so like frustrated about the fact that when I was in Slovakia, I had to cut out so many things out of my schedule because my environment wasn't allowing me to spend so much time watching all these videos on YouTube and following all these different people and stuff. So I had to not necessarily unsubscribe, but I had to mute notifications from a lot of channels that I had followed previously. And actually now coming to Mexico, I can understand the meaning why that had to take place, because now I don't even need to watch these channels anymore. I don't need to spend so much time watching all these different things that I spend so much time watching and following. And at the end of the day, there is just so much information that you can actually retain, and I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that we are continuously plugged in and bombarded by so much information coming from every single direction, some of it obviously useful and supportive, and a lot of it not so supportive. But all that said, we only have so much capability of absorbing all this information, because our brain is not designed to be in this continuous like sympathetic nervous mode, which is this flight fight and continuous gathering information and stuff. Like we need to like chill and just be able to relax and recover, so we can actually replenish and nurture ourselves. And that's what's been coming up for me a lot in this past week. Of course, I am still not fully settled, but I also noticed that being in Mexico, you don't really have a chance to stay stressed. You don't have a choice, and you do have to kind of give yourself a break, because here in Mexico, everything's got its own rhythm. It's got its own schedule, which is non-scheduled, which is non-existent. Even the buses, they come and go whenever they want. You know, there is not such a thing as, like, I know in England, and I'm sure in a lot of other countries, you have all these digital boards which tells you exactly where the bus is and when is it arriving, and there is all these times, and it even tells you it's here in 2 minutes, then it's here in 1 minute, it's due, and whatever, overdue, late. There is this continuous tracking of time, where in Mexico there is no such a thing. In Mexico it's like meh, whatever happens when it happens, right? Like nobody cares. Even I noticed with the weather, because everything obviously is changing all over the world. And when I was here last year, I arrived in December, and by that point it was very dry. Obviously, well, dry, I mean, it's always humid in Mexico, but it wasn't as humid as it is still now. Like we are still experiencing the after effects of the rainy season. We are kind of still in it. I got caught in the rain the other day, which made me to literally just sit down and wait it out, because it was raining so strongly. So for me to like literally just try walking, I'll be soaked in a second. And I mean, obviously it is not a cold rain, but still. And I just found a shelter. I was just under somebody's garage roof, just sat on the floor listening to my podcast and stuff. I was like, okay, well, that's a way to slow down and, just to be forced to sit and, just take a chill pill or whatever. And so with the weather, it's been very unusual, because even when I came here in 2020, 2021 for that winter, I don't recall this like late in a year, which means that there is already the season that started, to be still this wet and like really, really tropically humid, which it's not usual for this time of the year, which again just tells us that everything is changing, everything is shifting. And this is another thing which I've been brought up to my attention, which I mean is a very obvious, but something that I really was forced to pay attention to, as always, because the as above so below, as within so without always reflects each other. And as we can observe how everything is changing in everyone's life, in the microcosm, everything is changing. Everything is undergoing this massive transformation, to the point of transmutation in many cases, where things are becoming something completely different. And so is the weather, so is the nature. So even when I was in Slovakia, I only left obviously just over a week ago, and some days it was unusually warm. And I know that, not everybody operates in Celsius, but, we had days when it was still over 20 degrees, which is very, 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 very unusual for that time of the year. Obviously, I don't know what's going on there now. I haven't asked my parents. I actually try not to speak to them very often since I got here. I only spoke to them once because I really need a break. But what I'm trying to say with all of this is that everything is changing, and our attachment, because I observed, for me, it's not it's not a problem if it's warmer, somewhere where it's meant to be cold, because I don't like cold. So I always run away from cold. I always try to go somewhere else for winter, because I'm not fond of being cold and cold in general is not my thing. So for me, it was not problem. I was like, oh, great, 20 degrees at the end of October. That's fantastic. Like I was like, it can stay like this all year. No problem with me. But my dad, he's very, very attached to tradition. He's very strong Cancer, and he's very, very attached to traditions. And he was literally triggered by it. He was like, why is it still so hot? This is not normal, and stuff like that. And then I come here in Mexico and it's still like, why is it still so humid? Why is it still so wet? Like it shouldn't be happening, right? And why I'm even mentioning weather in a good English fashion, let's talk about the weather. Is because we are so attached to these old stories, including the weather, when we have this attachment that this is how it should be. Okay, it's October, it should be this amount of degrees. It's summer, it should be this amount of degrees. It's November, it should no longer be a rainy season. And even the nature is undergoing these shifts and changes where actually whatever was, the staple, the steady before, it's no longer. So that's why I feel that even, for example, here in Puerto Vallarta, where I'm staying, they had a hurricane like few weeks before I arrived, and they said that never happened before. Like this is not a place where the hurricane just comes like regularly or something. So what I'm trying to say that everything is changing, and is in a sense making us to be continuously on our toes, because everything that we took for granted before, including weather and seasons and how things should be, it's no longer that way. Like, yes, to a certain extent, still there are certain things that, like it's winter coming, so in northern hemisphere you are more likely to experience cold weather, but there are all these glitches. There are glitches in the matrix. Literally, we can see it very clearly, glitches in the matrix. And I even, like, for me being here for just over a week, I observed another thing, because I literally just feel like multiple personality disorder over here, like observing myself, observing, like I'm continuously observing, like, oh, what's going on here in this reality? How am I perceiving this experience? And what I've been observing is that I really feel like I'm in a cocoon. Like, I even shared this with one of my friends who is also a healer, and I said to her that I feel really weird. I am in Puerto Vallarta, I am in Mexico, obviously I'm physically here, but I feel I'm not here. I feel literally like I'm in a cocoon, like there is like a cocoon around me, and the cocoon is placed in the Puerto Vallarta scenery, right? So imagine, like, for example, I guess when you are playing computer games or whatever, like simulation, if you are in simulation and I don't know, you're running on a treadmill or whatever, and then you can create this, environment around yourself, and I don't know, you think you are in a rainforest or something, but you're not really there. But you feel like you are, like it's like a simulation. And that's exactly how I've been feeling since I arrived here. It's very, very weird, because I mean, obviously I really like coming here, and I obviously enjoy the weather, and I can feel that tangibly in my senses, with my senses, I can feel, yeah, I'm in a tropical place, it's hot, I'm sweating all the time. So I am here, but somehow I feel really detached. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like I'm literally just talking to myself here, trying to figure things out. But it's really been, and I don't know whether all the light workers, in a sense, are going through this experience where I even said that to my friend. I said, I feel like in this kind of like a cocoon of protection, where I am here, but I'm not really here. And I really feel that there are like my main focus right now needs to be in me, like a kind of finding my center again and recalibrating, because I really have been so depleted in the past month. Oh my god, there is like literally something knocking on my on my balcony door. So I'm like, okay, spirit, I hear you. So anyway, I really feel that I've been so depleted like in the past month, even while I was in Bulgaria, when I started doing so many readings. I was completely out of my balance, working literally non-stop. I was in Bulgaria for 3.5 months, and I've seen nothing because I was constantly working. And that's why I feel that right now I really, and then obviously I went to Slovakia, and it was like, again, like not really being able to just take a breather. And now I'm here, and I really feel that somehow this external environment is creating, I'm in this cocoon within the external environment, which is just kind of like a simulation, for me to have to focus inwardly. And that's why even like there are all these things happening externally, like, oh, you should be focusing on this and this, and social media and all these things and the world is coming to the end and stuff. And I feel so detached from everything, because I literally feel that my main focus right now has to be to come back to my center, to find that healing, to sit with my emotions. And I even feel, and this is something I feel almost every single time coming to Puerto Vallarta, I feel like there is so much build-up of suppressed emotion in me because of everything that's been going on, obviously, in the previous, well, in this case, 6 months, because I left in May. And now I feel like I need to decompress, like I need to release all these emotions. So that's why there is this complete disconnection between me and my environment at the moment, because I really feel that this is what I have to focus on. And I really feel that something is building up, and no surprise with this new moon in Scorpio tomorrow, which is happening in conjunction with my Saturn, it's opposing my Mars. At the moment, Sun literally just conjuncted my South node yesterday, opposed my North node. Mercury is just about to oppose my Chiron. So I'm like, okay, happy times, all these things are coming to the surface for sure. And Saturn is trining my Pluto, yeah, by the way. And of course, I'm coming into my Pluto square Pluto as soon as Pluto moves back into Aquarius, like, hey, happy times. So, so as I mentioned previously many times, this is on my Pluto line, and I literally feel that I have the biggest times of my life transformations here. And I don't know, like, obviously, how many people are aware where is their Pluto line, have gone to their Pluto line, or even lived on their Pluto line. But I mean, this is not a place where you can just drink mojitos on a beach and chill, right? I mean, yeah, in one sense, I can say like, oh yeah, I came here to relax, but not in the way that would be perceived as relaxation. I come here to relax in a way that, okay, I'm removed from the three-dimensional reality and what's going on somewhere else, but I really, really have to focus on what's going on inside me and transmute that. And that really, because it's something I was talking about in my astrological forecast for next week, I feel this is the main focus for everyone's life right now, that there are all these things that are being triggered and coming to the surface. And especially since yesterday, this Mars-Uranus opposition might have brought up a lot of things might have got triggered and being brought from our subconscious to conscious, because they are having us down. They cannot no longer come with us going forward into this age of Aquarius. Once Pluto moves into Aquarius and Uranus into Gemini, we will become instant, like, not necessarily straight away, but there will be a very little time between when you want something and when you manifest it. So the time between manifestation and you wanting to manifest something will get much smaller, because everything will accelerate even more. And then Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries even more so, because all the planets will be in a masculine sign. So is the energy of expansion, of going out there and creating all this air and fire. So as I was talking about in my videos many times before, I said that this is a preparation time. So it's the time where we literally healing and purging that things of the past that are still either preventing us from manifesting that what we want, or would hold us back, or would even harm us. So that's why I feel that so many people are going through these really challenging times, very dark night of the soul. And of course the external, the microcosm is mirroring it back to us. We mirroring it out into the place. Like everything is just a mirror. Everything internal, external, micro, macro, as above, so below. The planet Earth, like having all these unexpected eruptions and shifts and dramatic weather and all these extremes. It's all a reflection of what's going on within each of us, and everything is undergoing a process of transmutation. That's why all these things are coming up. They're all coming up because they need to be transmuted, because they cannot come with us into the world that we want to create, because we would self-destruct. So that's why, especially even now with everything that's going on out there in the world, for many people, there is an opportunity to actually go within, because we cannot control necessarily what's going on out there. And I mean, we are co-creating it as a collective, but the only way we can control it is by changing our reality, our own perception of it, and our own reaction to it. So we have to start from inside, and that's why I feel, and this is again my personal share, so I can just say what I'm experiencing, and this is exactly what I've been experiencing in this past week, even with the aspects. I mean, Venus making a trine to Pluto, which is still kind of in effect during this new moon in Scorpio, even though it's out of sign. But Venus in Virgo was helping us to understand, to learn, to gather tools with regards to what needs to adjust. This wisdom of discernment, that is this still serving us. And then trine in Pluto. Pluto obviously is finishing its transit of Capricorn since 2008. It will have one more retrograde next year. But all in all, Pluto is almost done. It's almost done with Capricorn, and Saturn, the ruler, is in Pisces, which again, everything that we took for granted, everything that was the definition of how it should be and what it is, it's dissolving, including what it is for you in your own personal life. Everything is just, it's just, nothing is set in a stone anymore. Nothing is set in a stone. So, and with the Mercury obviously at the time still in Scorpio, now Mercury is already in Sagittarius, and it made a trine to Neptune, and that's the same thing. Mercury has been digging out from our subconscious, Scorpio, very subconscious, very, very deep internal process, very deep inquiry, investigation. Mercury has been digging out all these things, coming up to the surface, and then trine Neptune, saying like, hey, this is what lost meaning, we need to dissolve it, we need to give it love, compassion, and heal it, like bath it in this beautiful white light, so it no longer controls our lives anymore. Because it's even like with this anger and hate and resentment towards something external, we're giving it our power. We allowing that something out of us, whether it's a person, whether it's a situation, whether it's whatever it is, to have an effect, to have a control over our lives. So that's why the only way to make a change is actually to transmute that energy, because if we keep adding the same into the same, we just multiply it. So that's why we can never win war with a war. It is not possible. We can never win war with a war, because it's the same energy. The only way we can heal war is with the peace. And how are we gonna create peace? That everybody that's going to actually heal the aspect of themselves that feels that this is something that is separate of me and I need to go and kill it, because you can't kill that aspect of yourself because it's there, right? And then we just decide, I am not doing this anymore. I am not responding in this way anymore. I cannot go and hurt another person because they are an extension of me, they are a reflection of me, they are a mirror of me. And I mean, obviously, comes rich from me being in my little cocoon over here again, having my little observations, being detached from the reality. But even that is showing up in my inner space, because I am finding myself in a situation which reminds me of situation I had experienced in the past, where strong boundaries will have to be set. And it's interesting that everything is now activating my 10th house. Actually, Mercury is in my 10th house, being in Sagittarius, just conjuncted my MC. And as I mentioned, this new moon in Scorpio is happening in conjunction with my Saturn. Saturn will be in a new phase with the moon. So I have a lot of, and at the moment Saturn is trine in my natal Pluto. So and actually Neptune is trine in my natal Saturn. So I have all these Capricornian activations, which again, like I just had an experience yesterday, which obviously my higher self supported that experience for me to learn something. Because then looking in retrospect, I'm like, why have I done that? Like, I should have known better. What did I expect? Of course, it was going to create that outcome. It happened many times before. I could just go with my lower vibrational Virgo and beat myself up about it and like, hey, are you stupid or what? Why would you have done that? But now looking back, because I was actually thinking about that this morning when I was taking a shower, another good place to have a download. And I was like, yeah, the ego would say like, why would you do that? Are you stupid or what? You know? But then, like, you know, the other side of me said, like, okay, well, why would you choose to have that experience? Obviously, you know where that experience would lead. So what are you meant to learn from that experience? And I even pulled the cards for myself because of my tarot course. I have to practice, and most of the time I'm practicing on myself because at the moment there is now nobody around, right? And the end, the card that comes up for me quite a bit is the card of Three of Pentacles, the card of learning. So what am I learning in this experience? And there is always this cups, Queen of Cups, Six of Cups, always cups. So like, what am I transmuting with regards to the past experiences that created these emotions that is very likely suppressed within me, that is acting out and attracting these experiences that want the release and transmutation of that emotion. So I'm not going to go into detail what took place yesterday, but the situation, because of the decision I had made yesterday that I find myself in, is kind of very peculiar and tricky, and will require me to take a responsibility, own up to, you know, this choice that I had made, and set boundaries. Otherwise, you know, if I try ignoring it, or if I try pretending that, oh yeah, it didn't happen, or oh, poor me, you know, like whatever, you know, try to hide from the responsibility of that choice, then nothing will change, right? I will just keep attracting the same experience with the same outcome. And yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, and I have to have a love and compassion for the aspect of myself who wanted to have that experience, who is playing out, and it's like, okay, there is something unhealed within you. What is it? Why do you want to have this experience, and what is the learning from it, so you can actually finally integrate this process, and then you don't have to have it again. You would have passed the lesson, right? So I am having a lot of moments like this when and I mean, with now Mercury obviously being in my 10th house in Sagittarius, like, okay, we need to redefine this. What is the perception? What is the story here, right? What is the storyline? So that's why I'm trying to observe. And I just feel that it's so interesting that this is literally first time probably ever. And I mean, this is my 4th time in Puerto Vallarta, and this is first time I feel like this, that I'm in this cocoon and I'm not actually here. I am here, but I'm not really here, because my main focus at the moment is internal. It's not external. It's not so much about, oh yeah, where am I going to go and eat, and you know, all this kind of thing. I only been to beach twice. I mean, not to swim. I am not this kind of this is not my thing, okay? Like, everybody straight away, oh, you're so lucky, you go to Mexico, you can be on a beach, you know, like go swimming and drinking drinks and stuff. And I'm like, that's not what I come here for. I actually, in the four years that I came here, I went to ocean maybe twice, you know, I mean, to swim. I just go, like, you know, with my feet in the ocean, but I don't go swimming because I for sure had the past lives when I drowned. I actually believe that I was on Titanic. I have a strong feeling because I like being on the ocean. I like being on a ship. I mean, I spent 8 years living on one, actually on a few, but I will not go into the water. If I can't see the bottom, if I can't reach the bottom, I will not go into the water. And I am a moon in Cancer, so it's really weird. But yeah, for sure, like, there is definitely some stuff that happened in the past. So I do not go into the water, okay? I just dip my toes in it, like knee high, and that's it. That's my swimming. So people usually say, well, I don't like take the most out of my environment because I go to Mexico. I don't eat Mexican food because I'm like vegan, vegetarian. I am very strict with my diet. Like, most of the time, it's not even being strict, but I just can't eat a lot of things anymore. They just don't sit well with my body. So like, when it comes to food, you know, the Mexican food, it's like completely wasted on me because I cannot eat most of it. I'm just eating fruit and vegetables, like avocados, pineapples, and papayas. That's my staple while I'm here. And yeah, and when it comes to like the swimming and beach and stuff, I just go on a beach to just sit on a beach, dip my toes in the ocean and look at the sunset and meditate. That's it. That's my experience, you know. I never go swimming, ever. I don't even think I brought any bikini with me this time because I had been bringing them every year and never used them. So I was like, what's the point? You know, just take space in my luggage, might take something else instead. So yeah, so anyway, this is completely like off the track and just sharing little tidbits of my life. my little microcosmic boring life over here. But yeah, so with these aspects that been taking place this week, this is how they've been showing up for me. You know, this opportunity for realization, what it is of the past. Like I said, Sun just conjuncted my South Node literally yesterday, and is squaring my Jupiter, and Jupiter is squaring my nodes, and the resolution is the South Node in Scorpio, ruled by Pluto, that is being activated by Saturn by trine. You can't make this up, seriously. Which is saying I have to redefine, I have to literally heal this past. So that's why these things where I feel that a lot of that I've been like, you know, working on, and I'd like to think, even though not fully complete, the work is not fully complete because I don't think it ever will be, but I think I've done fairly well, especially over the past 3 years when it comes to a lot of things that I've been working on. But there are still aspects that are coming up, and like I said, this situation that took place yesterday, I can totally see myself back in a time, that little girl who just wants to hide and like, oh no, I haven't done that, I don't want to deal with that, you know, it's not my fault and stuff like that, you know. So I'm like, no, now you are an adult, you have to take a responsibility, and if you don't want to have the same experience, you have to, you know, like make a different choice, take a responsibility for the choice you made that lead to this outcome. Admit why it happened and what did you learn from it, and then make a different one. And this is literally what I believe is happening in most people's lives right now, and being mirrored to us by the collective, by what's going on in the world. This opportunity to see like, okay, yes, we made certain choices that led to certain outcome, and now what are we gonna do with it? Like, yeah, like I said in my previous video, I don't make the rules, it's not my fault. Well, who makes the rules? And who's gonna change the rules? And who's gonna define the rules? Because at the end of the day, everything that's happening is a reflection of the collective, because somebody decided that this is okay, right? So in my little life, it's like, well, you decided it was okay, so, you know, now if you want to change it, you have to do something about it. Nobody's gonna do it for you. So anyway, so I mean, like, again, like as usual with my videos, I don't know whether this make any sense to anyone other than me just talking to myself out loud and trying to process the happenings of my week. And yeah, and with this Mars Uranus opposition, which of course Uranus still dancing around my North Node. Why not? You know, right, it's placed right between my North Node and my Mars, and Mars actually is going to oppose my Mars shortly. So I mean, there is just so much stuff, and I have most of my planets in the fixed signs, and there is still a lot of energy in the fixed signs. So there is so much stuff is coming up. You know, for me personally, to be able to observe, look at, and yeah, redefine and hopefully transmute and change, so I don't have to do this again. And yeah, even the fact that I'm in Puerto Vallarta, which, as I mentioned many times, is on my Pluto line, and I was coming here with the strong feeling that for whatever reason this is my last time coming here, whatever the reason is, I don't know. I might be wrong, obviously, because the timelines always change, because we decide what is your timeline, what timeline you want to experience, and yeah, we choose always. So yesterday with this 11/11 portal that was taking place, I was trying to really focus on, and it's, again, I'm not trying to be here spiritual bypass, like, yeah, la 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 la, you know, rainbows and butterflies, but things are not happening. No, but for that one day yesterday, I felt it was very important to try to detach from the drama, and the drama still found me anyway, but not to really be too involved into all these happenings and tragic stories and drama that's going on in the world. Not saying I don't care, and not saying I don't have a love and compassion for everything that's happening, but I really felt that yesterday was, and I mean, the portal is still open, obviously. Yesterday was the activation. It doesn't mean that it's gone now, right? Like, it's still active. It was just, it you know, became available yesterday, the energies of 11/11/11, because as I mentioned, it was 11/11 yesterday. And yeah, that's why I felt it was so important to actually focus on the things that, you know, that I want to create, not the things that I don't want to give. I didn't want to give too much energy of the stuff that I don't necessarily want to be the part of my experience personally. And again, this is everybody's choice. Everybody has the choice to focus where they want to channel their energy and what they want to use their energy and their life force for. So that's why, like, people like my dad, for example, who watches news, he's completely addicted to news and all this drama that's being presented there. He can't help himself. And when I ask him, why are you doing this when it's making you so upset and so stressed and depleted and stuff? Oh, I need to be informed. Informed of what? The lies? And I mean, even if it was truth, like, is it actually beneficial for you to know this, you know? Which is, again, something I observed during the 2020-2021 with all the theories, sea theories that's been going on around the world. And I dived so deep into the rabbit hole until I actually realized that, you know, actually this is making me even more stressed and scared and disempowered as it's to listen to the mainstream media. So, I mean, where is the balance? Again, I'm not saying don't be informed, you know, like, obviously we all have an idea about what's going on, but it doesn't matter which way you go if you go into extreme, whether it's the mainstream or whether it's the other theories, which, and all of it might be truth, all of it might be lie, because it's, again, Sagittarius is a perception of reality. But do you want that to be your reality? That's the question. And even knowing all these things, even thinking that, okay, it's all true, is it making you feel better? Is it supporting you? Is it making you feel happier in your experience or not? So that's what I mean. We don't need to know everything, even things that actually are true and valid. Is it supporting you on your path, in your you know, wherever you're going with your experience? And the way you know is how does that make you feel, right? And that's why, for me, I am detaching from things that don't make me feel necessarily good or empowered. Again, not trying to spiritual bypass or think it's not happening, I don't care. No, because I have a certain level of awareness of what's going on, but I don't need to know all the details. And I don't need to know all the ins and outs and who and why and where and what. Because, you know, I have an information, okay, how does this make me feel? Okay, it's not something that resonates with my experience. It's not something that I want to attract into my experience, into my reality, into my timeline. And then I'm like, okay, I need to let it go. Like, yes, it's happening. It is a timeline, a potential timeline. It is somebody's experience. Now, do I want it to be mine? And this is why these portals are so important, because you always have a choice. And then, of course, you know, my higher self, just like yesterday, helped me to get myself in a situation which didn't feel overly, you know, I mean, it didn't feel uncomfortable yesterday. It's just like now, like, okay. So that's what I mean. Sometimes it's unavoidable because we are being led or guided towards situation which we go like, yeah, well, why would I want to have this experience which is not actually very positive, you know, like from the human perspective. But there is always reason for everything. And especially now with Mercury being in Sagittarius, having to look at things from a higher perspective, not just gather information, but like, okay, but what is this trying to help me to see? What is this trying to teach me? So that's what I've been processing, and that's why I feel that there is this level of detachment and being cocoon in my little cocoon here, because there is a lot of processing, and that's why I don't really have any particular guidance or any particular nuggets of wisdom to share over here, apart from just like my little introspection and sharing little confessions and sharing what I've been observing. That's it. Because I'm deeply processing, and obviously when something comes to me like aha moment, I'll share it, but at the moment I'm in a deep state of processing. And I think it's also because with my moon in Cancer, it's not going to be directly impacted because the orb is a little bit too wide for it to be a trine, but still my moon is in Cancer, this moon is in Scorpio, so I'm always affected by lunations. And because it is the dark moon, like today the moon will be in void, you know, just before it becomes a new moon, it's a dark moon, it has no light. And that's why I feel that there are a lot of things like hidden, you know, it's like a high priestess, you know, there are things that we are not meant to see yet. So that's how I feel right now this week. I'm observing a lot of things. I'm trying to redefine a lot of things. I feel there is something boiling under the surface that's going to erupt. But at the moment, I don't have the exact tangible experience or the knowing of what that is, because I feel, especially with this moon, not having any light, losing a light, and the new moon is obviously the point of conception, which we're going to have more clarity about in April when we have the full moon in Scorpio after the eclipses. We're not meant to know the full picture yet, but as a lot of planets still are in a sign of Scorpio for a bit longer, it is still an opportunity for a deep investigation and trying to connect with the subconscious, bring the things into the conscious for transmutation. And that's what I feel is the process that I personally am finding myself at now, and I'm sure a lot of other people are. And it's just a reflection of what's going on out there. Even though Venus is now in a masculine sign in Libra in her rulership, so it will still involve other people because they trigger us and bring these opportunities for recognition of that which is hiding in the subconscious, and Mercury being in Sagittarius. And of course, Mars is going to move there soon together with Sun. Not for a little bit longer, but still, it's going to be soon. So, so this is what's been coming up for me. Tomorrow, the new moon is happening in opposition with Uranus. Sun will have the exact opposition with Uranus shortly after. So again, there might be more expect the unexpected, because Uranus, the greatest awakener, always brings things that we don't expect. And yeah, it's part of the process. It's part of this healing, because it's literally like, I guess, when they were trying to get a gold from the mines and they were using the dynamites, right? It's like that. There is a gold hiding behind it, behind shedding all this heaviness and density of the previous stuff, incarnations, ancestor trauma, all these things that are hiding in our subconscious, imprinted in our DNA, because actually DNA is ruled by Pluto. Now they're being triggered, with this dynamite, because behind all that, where we clear all the debris, is the gold, which is this pure essence of who you are and the state of feeling self-empowered, because you've gone through all of that and you survived. And on the other side of it, you know how resilient you really are. So that's what I feel is the process that we are going through right now, but we don't have the full clarity of what is on the other side of that yet. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. I need to go because I have an engagement in a few minutes time, but I just wanted to share my first week of being in Puerto Vallarta in my little cocoon in a simulation, which is real, but feels a little bit not quite real at the moment. And yeah, I wish everybody best possible new moon in Scorpio tomorrow. Like I said, my collab with Adrian, where we'll be chatting over the chart, is coming out as well. So stay tuned for that one, if that's the one that you would like to watch. And I wish you all a beautiful upcoming week, and I'll speak to you again soon. Much love, everyone. Bye for now.